So, when you think of Formula One, you probably think of speed, drama, maybe some champagne on a podium. But what we're going to talk about today is something else entirely. See, F1 is way more than just a sport. It's this insane, high stakes laboratory where the future of cars is literally being invented. I mean, listen to this. This quote just nails it. It's a technology war on wheels. It's not just about who's the best driver anymore. It's about who has the smartest engineers, the craziest ideas. It's a war fought with carbon fiber and computer code. But here's the thing that's really gonna blow your mind. This isn't just some fantasy world of super expensive race cars. A lot of the tech that's dreamed up on these tracks, it actually ends up in the car you drive. Yeah, for real. We're talking about a direct line from the Grand Prix to your garage. Okay, so here's how we're gonna break it down. We're looking at four big ideas: the quest for grip, the pursuit of power, the race for survival, and then how it all lands in your driveway. All right, first up, the quest for grip. So, how in the world do you make a car stick to the road when it's going at just, well, impossible speeds? You might think the answer is a bigger engine, right? Nope. The real secret was somewhere else entirely. It all came down to mastering the air. I mean, the air all around us. Engineers figured out how to basically turn the car into an upside-down wing, using the air to push it down onto the track. This is what we call downforce, and it's the magic that creates insane amounts of grip without adding a single ounce of weight. And this has been a wild ride. You can see it here. It's this constant cat and mouse game. They started with simple wings back in '68, then came the big one, ground effect, in the late '70s. It was so powerful, so dominant, that the rule makers actually banned it. And now, decades later, it's back, but in a much safer form. And this quote from one of the designers, Peter Wright, just says it all. We turned the car into an upside-down airplane wing. I mean, how cool is that? Instead of generating lift to fly, they generated anti-lift to stick. They literally created a vacuum under the car to suck it onto the road. Mind-blowing stuff. Okay, so we're talking about an invisible force, right? Air. So how much of a difference can it really make? Like, how much force are we actually talking about here? Get ready for this. A modern F1 car creates so much downforce that it could, theoretically, drive upside down on the ceiling of a tunnel once it gets over about 100 miles per hour. Just let that sink in. It generates more downforce than its own weight. It's literally fighting gravity and winning. Okay, so the car is now glued to the asphalt. What's next? Power. And the story of F1 engines is really a tale of two completely different worlds. You've got the '80s turbo era, which was all about raw, completely unhinged power. They literally nicknamed the engines the bomb. And then you have today's hybrid era, which is all about being incredibly smart and efficient. It's like comparing a sledgehammer to a surgeon's scalpel. So back in the '80s, these engineers were complete mad scientists. They were taking tiny 1.5-liter engines that's smaller than what's in a lot of family cars and squeezing over 1,400 horsepower out of them for qualifying. It was a controlled explosion designed to last for just one perfect, terrifying lap. Fast forward to now, and the game has totally changed. Today's engines hit over 50% thermal efficiency. Now, that number might sound a little nerdy, but trust me, it's absolutely insane. Your average road car is lucky to get to 30%. These are, hands down, the most efficient combustion engines ever built on the planet. So how do they do it? Well, it's not just an engine anymore. It's a power unit. You have a small V6 turbo, sure, but it's paired with these two genius electric motor systems. One, the MGU-K, grabs energy when the driver brakes. The other, the MGU-H, actually captures wasted energy from the heat of the exhaust. All of that works together to pump out over 1,000 horsepower, and it wastes almost nothing. It's brilliant. So you've got cars that stick to the road like glue and have 1,000 horsepower. With all that speed, the biggest, most important challenge became something much more fundamental. How do you keep the driver safe? Because for a long, long time, Formula One was just terrifyingly dangerous. Just look at these numbers. They really tell the whole story. In the 1970s alone, 12 drivers lost their lives. 12! Now look at the period from 1995 to today. 1. The transformation is just incredible, and it's all thanks to an obsession with safety. And it happened because of a few key breakthroughs. In '81, they introduced the carbon fiber monocoque, which is basically an indestructible survival cell for the driver. Then, in 2003, the Hans device became mandatory to protect the head and neck.
And then, in 2018, came the one everyone hated, the halo.
And when I say hated, I'm not kidding. The drivers thought it was ugly, the fans complained it ruined the look of the cars, and a lot of people just didn't think it was necessary. But then, one Sunday in Bahrain, a horrifying crash happened that changed everyone's mind. Forever.
This is Romain Grosjean's miracle. He hit a metal barrier at 140 miles per hour. The force was 67 Gs. That's 67 times the force of gravity. The car split in half and just exploded into a fireball. And he walked away. Why? Because that ugly halo device took the full force of the steel barrier, deflecting it away from his head. It flat out saved his life.
No question. Okay, so we've seen the insane tech, the crazy power, the life-saving innovations. But so what? Why does this matter to you and me? Well, because this stuff doesn't stay on the track. Think about this. Ever driven a car with paddle shifters on the steering wheel? Yep, that came straight from F1's semi-automatic gearboxes. Regenerative braking in your hybrid or electric car? Perfected in F1. And all the lightweight materials and clever aerodynamic designs that make modern cars more efficient? You guessed it. All of that was pushed to the absolute limit in Formula One first. And that's really the big idea here. Formula One is more than a race. It's the ultimate proving ground. It's a high-speed lab where every single part of a car, from the brakes to the software, is pushed to its breaking point. And in doing that, it speeds up the evolution of technology for all of us. Which leaves us with a really fascinating question to think about. As the tech gets even smarter and the cars get even faster, where do you draw the line? At what point does the race become more about the machine than the person driving it? It's a huge debate about the future of racing, and maybe about our own future with intelligent machines.